Mr. Gingrich, it's a pleasure. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Do you want to take a quick picture? Is that fine? I think it's a quick picture. We're really looking forward to it. Hey, dude, do you mind if I get a quick picture?
It's fine. Do you have a camera?
Yeah, my brother works in the Hill.
Do you want to shake hands?
There
you go. There we go. We're good.
Good. Thank you.
I think there can be a green conservatism which is more effective than green liberalism. If you think of green liberalism as being litigation and regulation and higher taxes and bigger government, I think you can make a pretty good case that that's not the right way to solve our problems. But if we had incentives, if we had prizes for breakthrough technologies, if we had an approach that aroused entrepreneurs rather than aroused trial lawyers, I think you could have a dramatically more exciting environment. If you want to change government in America, there are 511,000 elected local officials. School board, county commission, city council, sheriff's office, state legislature. And so it's not just the White House, but it's how do you move the whole system?
Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Newt Gingrich.
Well, thank you all very, very much. I'm delighted to have a chance to come here tonight, and I told Lauren when she first asked me if I might come down here that I'd be very honored to. Today's high school and college students are potentially on the edge of a revolution in capability, unlike anything we have ever seen. And I say this because we are almost certainly, in the next 25 years, going to have 4 to 7 times as much new science as we had in the last 25 years. I absolutely think that the #1 strategic concern we have in terms of remaining the most prosperous and the most powerful nation in the world is to make the investment in science. I would immediately triple the size of the National Science Foundation budget. I would go to a permanent tax credit for our research and development. I would dramatically expand the availability of, as I said earlier, I'd run experiments on paying poor children to study math and science in school, and I would dramatically increase the number of scholarships available for people willing to study math and science. And I would go to 100% expensing for new technology so you could write it off in 1 year, so you would encourage every American company to provide American workers with the best new equipment so that we were always competing with China and India, with our workers having the best innovation, the best entrepreneurship, and the best equipment. And I think if we did that, frankly, we could compete successfully for the next 100 years and nobody would catch up with us. We have messed up Iraq terribly. This was an avoidable disaster, I think. But the deeper fight is way beyond Iraq. We picked up somebody, the FBI arrested a man in Illinois just before Christmas who was trying to buy hand grenades, an American citizen who had recruited himself because he wanted to have a personal jihad and he wanted to buy hand grenades to go to a local mall during Christmas and throw the grenades and kill people. This was an American. This wasn't somebody from Saudi Arabia. And I think we have to confront how hard this is. The left has largely dominated American politics for the last 75 years, starting in 1932. That under Reagan and then standing on his shoulders with the work we did on the contract with America, we began to break out of that. There was a period there from 1980 to 1997 when you could begin to see a new way of thinking. I do not believe Republicans and conservatives can be effective inside the interest groups and the bureaucracies and the language of the left. And so I've been very disappointed for the last decade to see the party collapse back into, I think, an essentially impossible position. I mean, if you want bureaucracy, you want liberal Democrats. They love it, they believe in it, they work at it. Republicans do a terrible job running bureaucracies. And Katrina was sort of proof positive. You know, we had the wrong guy assigned, he did the wrong job, and they couldn't even figure out in the White House it wasn't working after 5 days of the whole country watching. And so I think you've got to decide if conservative Republicans need to be in favor of fundamental, deep change in the system, because that we can do better than the left. Every person under 40 has a vested personal interest in having a personal Social Security savings account. If you have the power at your age, if you have the power of compound interest, and you get to keep your Social Security tax in a personal savings account, and it grows for your entire working life, you will have 3 or 4 times as much money as you're going to get out of the current system. I think that if we would go out today, create a personal Social Security savings account, and give every person under 40 an opportunity to save the money and to have it grow in interest over their entire working career, they would be better off. You'd have a huge amount of capital to invest in the economy. The economy would grow dramatically. You could finance it over a 30-year period, which is about how long we finance houses. So it's not an abnormal period for a country to finance something. And you could have a dramatically better future. Everybody over 40 could be guaranteed the current system. Everybody under 40 would have a better system. You could make it optional for people over 40 to join the new system if they wanted to, but not force anyone to do it. And I think you'd have a dramatically better future. The conservatives have to learn to reach out in the black community. They have to learn to reach out in the Hispanic community or Latino community. I mean, there's got to be a willingness to consistently say, these are better ideas for every American. It's not red state versus blue state. It ought to be red, white, and blue. And how do we find solutions so that everybody gets in the same page? And then you only have a very small minority on the left who are saying, but I really want to keep my big bureaucracy because it makes me feel good. And everybody else will say, fine, we want solutions. First of all, I'm delighted to be here both on behalf of Lauren and her family. And she's had a wonderful 4 years and is, I think, sort of semi-dreading leaving. She both is excited to graduate this spring, but also I think this has become sort of a home away from home. Second, I really do hope all of you who are in school will take seriously what I started with. You have the opportunity to have the greatest adventure, to be the most productive, and to be the most creative generation in American history. And I think if you dive in and you live life to its fullest, you're going to be amazed in your lifetime how many great adventures you're on and how many things you achieve and how much better the world is at the end of your life than when you began. Thank you all very, very much.